When we left yesterday's episode, it may not have been laid out exactly like this, but it was something like this. And I just sort of want to continue on now. And we got to get our little ladders on these blocks, and that is probably one of the few things we have to do. I want to be able to use these blocks to rotate the ladder. I don't know if you remember, but when we did the Bismarck, this system worked really well for the ladders as well as for other small parts like these things, for instance. Okay, let's get zoomed in and put the other two on. Yeah, like this is really, really complicated, right? Like somebody doesn't know how to do this. I'm noticing that some of the treads still don't look quite right. Well, we'll see how it is after the paint's on them. Okay, here is the plan. We sort of went over this before. We're going to paint the bottom of the life rafts the deck tan. And then after it dries, we were going to take the liquid mask and carefully put it around the bottom and hope that it doesn't wick its way up the sides. Then we were later going to paint everything else, like the outside of the life rafts. I believe it was the 77. And we'll paint everything else the 77, including these little parts right here. But there's nothing we can do until the deck tan is on and dried and the liquid mask is on. So, yeah, I don't know how long that's going to take. I'm guessing about 4 or 5 hours. Okay, I've just shaken this up really good in my paint shaker, so it's about as shook as it can get here. And we want to do a ratio of 6 parts to 4 parts. 6 parts to 4 parts. In other words, 60% of this. So I think we can do this. We don't actually need a whole lot of this just to do the bottom of those. So let's do it this way. We'll do it 3 to 2. That should be the same thing, right? I would think anyway. Okay, got a cleaned out little jar here. And get ourselves going. Now, this thing has a tendency to time out way too early as far as I'm concerned. Okay, let's... Okay. Get our tear. Okay. Now let's take 3 grams of the thinner. That's it. Okay. Now, before that thing times out on me, now we want 2 grams of the paint. So that should bring it up to 5 then, right? A little bit more. Oh, come on. That is so aggravating. Okay, I'm going to estimate that that's about right. We were pretty close to the 5. Yeah, no use turning it back on because, I was just going to say 0. That is so aggravating. Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure we're pretty close. If anything, it's got slightly more of the Mr. Color in it than it's supposed to. So this is going to be quite thin. I'm going to go put it in the mixer and shake it up really good. That is so aggravating. I started out with the pressure just under 20 pounds. I wanted to see how it'd go, and at first I thought it was going to work, and then maybe it went for about 2 seconds and then kind of fizzled out. So I increased it to, I'm guessing, a little over 20, and it seems a little bit better, but not quite. I increased it to what I'm guessing is just under 25, and then it seemed to be, pretty good. I might have been able to go a little bit harder yet, but that's so thin, I didn't want to accidentally be putting it on too thick and fill the life rafts up. I was wearing my respirator the whole time, and after I was through spraying there and started to clean up the airbrush and so on, I thought, let's see if I can smell the paint in the air. And took the respirator off, and boy, I sure could. I realized I better get my windows open, so fortunately it wasn't a real cold day, and I was able to air the place out pretty good. The wind was from the back of the house, so it sort of pushed the fumes, you might call it, out the front windows there. So but I can see where in the wintertime this Mr. Color leveling fluid leveling stuff is probably going to be a bit of a problem, because I don't want to be opening my window like when it's minus 40. Well, mind you, it's very seldom minus 40, but it's minus 20 a lot. Now, I had sort of a funny thing happen. When I was all done spraying, I was staring at one of those little blocks, and I guess I was thinking about how does the paint look, and all of a sudden I noticed it seems to be very slowly rotating to the left. And I actually picked it up and looked underneath it to see what was going on. Well, about the same time, I realized it was an optical illusion. I had been watching stuff slowly rotate to the right so long that my mind played a trick on me. Now, I feel it only fair to warn you. Remember, there are 17 of these things, and this spraying goes on for another 2.5, 3 minutes yet. This is the last one, and if you've been watching steady for the last 3 or 4 minutes now, this one's going to come to a stop in a second. Keep staring at the center of the life raft. Doesn't it look like it's slowly turning to the left? Well, it does to me. Now, one of the viewers, his name is Mr. Fashioned, and, well, actually, he wanted to be called Old-Fashioned, but I'm just too polite, I guess you might say, to call somebody old, like Old Steen, or Old Eller, or Old Calverley. I don't want to say old-fashioned. Anyway, so Mr. Fashioned was wondering, why was it that when I was doing these little ladders here, I was going in, see if I can get it just right here, I was going in like this. He says, wouldn't it have been a lot better to have come at it from the back? And like, why didn't I do that? Well, there's a real good reason why I didn't. I didn't think of it. But yeah, it would have been better to have grabbed these from the back and then give them a little twist. Well, we'll be doing more of these in the future, and then we'll do that. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that maybe we did it this way when we did the ladders on the Bismarck, because I was thinking this is not going as well as I remember it going. But then, excuse me, I put it down to the fact that, it was almost 2 years ago that we did the Bismarck, and, well, maybe not that long ago, but, time goes on, and I'm not as, my dexterity isn't what it used to be. That's what I actually was thinking. However, anyway, thank you to Mr. Fashioned for, reminding me about that, and we'll do it this way in the future. Quite a bit of time has passed here now, and our life rafts are about as dry and cured as they're going to get. And I think it's probably safe now to try and drop some of our liquid mask into the bottom. This is going to be really interesting because, as I've mentioned at least 3 times, this liquid mask does have the tendency to want to creep or to wick. And I think the best way to do this is to put each one of these individually onto the rotator, and that way I can rotate it around. You'll be able to see it really well, and I'll be able to sort of work the droplet of liquid mask into the corners, if you know what I mean. Well, I guess we won't know until we actually try it, right? Okay, as I have said so many times before, let's stick on the macro lens. Well, here we go. Try and just put one little drop in the middle. Now applying this liquid mask here goes on for about 13 minutes, maybe slightly more. And yeah, if you want to scroll ahead or scrub ahead or whatever you call it on your device, once again I won't be offended. However, then you're going to miss out on little things that I say like, oh, I think I better put a little bit more on here. Or, oh, I put way too much on. Anyway, it's up to you. Put the lid back on. I've got a feeling this stuff is going to dry on the tip of the bottle. Now, I'm just using a toothpick here to get the pointy end of it. Try and work it out. Don't know if I put too much in. I can't wait too long because this stuff is going to start to cure. I don't want to be scratching the paint off the bottom either with my toothpick. Maybe the toothpick wasn't the right thing to use here. Whoops, went a little bit too high there. Oh, here. Maybe if I sort of just drag it along the edge, is that going to work? realize it looks kind of thin there looks kind of thin right here in the middle, but I do believe that the gray paint is not going to go through. I do actually believe that it's there's sort of a skim, like even on these little cross things here that I'm touching right now. I do believe that there is there is another problem. I hope that doesn't dissolve that XF paint of Tamiya's. Well, guess we'll know. Worst that can happen is I'll just have to, repaint everything. All right, let's try another one now. Maybe that's not enough. I'm getting it up the sides. I thought this was going to be easier. Maybe I need a little bit more here. Oh, come on, Ron. Okay, on the next one, I'm going to put more on. That way it'll have a tendency to just sort of flow into the right place. I think another problem is this life raft is not perfectly level. It's starting to form a skim, or a scum, or whatever you want to call it. All right, let's quit where we can. Let's try and do a better job now on the next one. No, I will not be at all offended if you fast forward ahead on this. But then you're going to miss all the fun. Maybe I should take a paper towel and clean that nib off. Okay, on the next one I will. This one isn't fastened down very good. Ooh, way too much. Well, can't take it out. I suppose maybe I could take a Q-tip and sort of wick some of it away. And this time I may not have got enough. Tiny bit more. Yeah, it's coming loose. Well, I'll have to be sure and check these before we try to spray the gray, or they're going to be blowing them into the spray booth. No, wait a minute, this one's crooked here. I hope that's all bubble. Come on, pop. Pop. There. Now the reason I'm not using a little brush is because the bristles on the little brush would have long ago become all rubberized. It's way too much. Well, at least when it's thick like this, it should be fairly easy to pull out of there. I would think the thicker it is, the better it's going to work. About an hour or so has passed here now. And I think it probably would be safe to dig these out, but I'm not sure. Because I've had so little experience with this stuff, I don't want to rush it. But I can't dig them out until after it's sprayed, of course. And I'm concerned that if I spray too soon, it's going to put a coating of paint over top of this liquid mask, and it's not going to cure as completely. So I don't want to rush it here. What I was thinking though is there any more parts on step 11? And I'm pretty sure we did get all of the parts off of step 11, as near as I can tell. I don't think we missed anything. But if we go to step 12 here, there is a lot of little pieces here that we do want to paint a different color other than what the deck is going to be. In other words, these are going to be the mounts for the boats. But I'm noticing that every single one is a different number. And to me, that would indicate that a lot of them are different sizes. Some of them are going to be the same, but some of them are going to be different sizes here. And I got to somehow keep them separate. I think I'm going to dig out it looks like they're the D sprue and the E sprue. Yeah, they're all D and E. So why don't we dig them out? I don't think there's oh yeah, there is. Here's 24, here's 24. So these two are the same. Is there any other 24s? Yeah, there's a 24. So I wouldn't need too many different tuna fish tins, I guess. The idea is I want to be able to keep them separate so that we get the right one plugged into the right hole. Otherwise, when I go to mount the ship on it, or the boat rather, it's not going to want to fit. I'm starting to ramble here. I'm thinking out loud. Let's just find the E and the D sprue and see just how hard would it be to maybe paint these while they're stuck on the sprue, because in that way they're all numbered. On the other hand, I got lots of tuna fish tins. Okay, this is the E sprue, and there's two of them. And here's those brackets that we need. Okay, here's my thinking right now, and I am sure. I thought to myself, this is a good idea. So because it's a good idea, at least I think it is, it probably is being done by most of you modelers already. It just seems that I'm about 10 years behind in this. Okay, here's this is the D sprue, and get it turned over so the numbers are right. Okay, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Okay, now my thinking is, why couldn't I just nip off this entire section here. That way the numbers stay on. I don't get the pieces mixed up. I can easily spray them while they're attached to the sprue. Let's see here, maybe trim off some of the pieces in between. Well, I'll reposition the camera and we'll just try that. I think this is a real good idea. We are looking at the D sprue here. D is in Donald. And, you know, there's 22, 3, 24, 25, 26. Okay. Now, this is the E sprue. E is in Edward. And you notice it also has 24, 25, 26, and so on. So it would be easy to possibly get these mixed up. That's about the only thing I have to watch out for is to keep this sprue separated from this sprue, and I don't need to worry about individual pieces. And I do think we can probably remove carefully the flashing that's in between each one of these, and then just spray just the part and then nip it off. I think there'd be very little cleanup to do it. We'll give it a try anyway. Oh, one more thing here about these things. I think that in all likelihood I'm going to find that there's going to be way too much deck tan showing after we remove the liquid mask. You know, the deck tan will appear to be too far up the inside of the round ring. No, yeah, and I'm probably going to end up having to respray everything gray and then paint with a brush the deck tan. Now that's just a prediction. I could be wrong. We'll see how it looks. I just talk about things as I think about them. Okay, here we go with the D sprue. And I think if I hold my cutter at an angle like this instead of like this, it'll have sort of a lifting effect and it won't tend to try and pull everything apart. Let's see what happens here now. Well, that seemed to go okay. Let's get that out of there now. Oh, this one. Now for this last one, I think we should carefully remove our Okay, I think now if we put these in a tuna fish tin and mark them as D, we shouldn't have a problem later. Now on the E sprue, E as in Edward, they're nice and easy. They're right along the bottom here. Now here's where I can see that I could have a problem. I want to be able to, cut this piece of flashing out from in between each, obviously. And to get it at just the right angle is going to be a little bit difficult. I don't know if I can do it on camera or not. I like to try to do everything on camera if I can, unless it's unless it's repetitious, but then I did spend 13 minutes painting a few minutes ago with the life raft, so Just thinking out loud here again. Just not sure what I'm going to do. As I'm sitting here behind the computer right now, editing out these last few scenes, there is two things that have come to mind. I do have an idea of what we can do here. And the second thing is, this episode has gone on for over 35 minutes already. I can't believe it. So we've got to cut it off. And we'll discuss what we're going to do in the next episode. Thanks for watching. And all being well, we'll see you tomorrow.